One moment, Yusuke.
Hello.
Cleaning my camera. Better? Okay. How are you?
I'm fine. Thank
How's
you.
the
And
weather? How's the weather in Tokyo?
it's crowded today.
Okay. Yeah, but cloudy and hot, which is not good.
Mm. Yeah.
Cloudy and hot is never good. Where
Mm.
I come from, when it's cloudy, it's cool. Cloudy and hot, it doesn't exist where in my home, where I'm
Mm.
from. But in Japan, it's common.
Yeah.
Are you from Tokyo? That's your hometown?
No, my hometown is Shizuoka.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Mount Fuji.
Yes.
Do you have a view of Mount Fuji from your hometown?
Yes.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Nice. Are you going to Shizuoka next month?
No, I will not
How
go.
often do you go to Shizuoka?
Mm.
Not often.
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to Oregon next month.
Mm.
So maybe we should talk. Did we discuss the schedule for August? Have we discussed that August schedule yet?
Not yet.
Maybe we should discuss the August schedule. So I'm
Yeah.
I'm going to share my screen and we will look at the August calendar. All right, now here we are, calendar. Okay. Can you see my screen?
Yes, I can see.
Okay, great. Now, Yusuke, this is our final lesson in July. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. You have received all of the lessons that you paid for July. Is that correct?
Yes, it's
Okay,
correct.
thank you very much. Now, in August,
Mm.
I will be in America from August
Yeah.
4th through August 21st.
From fourth?
August 4th
Yes.
through
Mhm.
August 21st.
Yes.
So our 24th and 31st and third lessons are unaffected.
Mm.
But
Yeah.
the 10th and the 17th,
Mm.
uh, so here's what I'll do. I'm going to delete the 17th lesson. I'm just going to delete that.
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay.
Now, this lesson on the 10th,
Yes.
um, I am available for morning lessons, but not evening lessons because right
Um,
now in America,
mhm.
one moment. Right now in America, it's 2:30 in the morning, and I'm not available at 2:30 in the morning.
Mhm.
But I would be available, for example, 10 a.m. or 11 a.m. Japan time.
Mhm.
Are you available in the mornings?
No, I work that time.
What about on Saturday?
Saturday.
For example, Saturday the 15th or Saturday the 8th.
Uh, it uh it's I have a schedule already.
On the 8th and the 15th?
Yes.
What about Sunday?
Sunday.
For example, the 9th or the 16th?
How about ninth?
The 9th, what time is good for you?
Evening is better for me, but
Sorry, I'm not available in the evenings because
yes.
right now in America
Yeah.
it's 2:30 a.m.
Yes, I know.
Uh
So Okay, 10 a.m. is
10
okay.
a.m. Great. Thank you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Okay. So then that means that our August schedule is set for 4 lessons in August.
Yes.
Okay. And if there's some kind of a problem, if I can't access the internet or something, I'll be sure to contact you ahead of time.
Okay.
But I can do mornings. I just can't. I'm not going to do English lessons at 2 a.m. Okay. Yusuke, do you have any questions about the schedule?
No, I don't have questions.
All right. So we are on schedule for Monday, the 3rd at regular time. And if you have more questions, we can discuss it then. All right. Shall we check the homework? Is it this one here? This is this. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Now we corrected the grammar. Now, okay, let's talk about this. Red versus yellow.
Yes.
What the red is difficult to pronounce.
Red is corrected.
Oh, red are the corrections that I made.
Yes, and yellow is difficult for
Pronunciation. Okay.
pronunciation.
So we'll go ahead and make this a pronunciation lesson today.
Yes. And about
Yes.
page 3,
Page 3.
I wrote additional
Oh, in the blue.
sentence. Yes.
Oh, wait a minute. What? Wait a minute. So blue is additional.
Yes.
And what about this? Is this also additional?
It's about the graphic of food.
Oh, wait a minute. Oh, okay. So this has already been checked, right?
Yes.
The black text has already been corrected. Yeah, there were, I don't think there, oh, there was one. Yeah, one little thing there. Okay, great. So just the blue. Well, then let's go ahead and correct the grammar here.
Yes,
in the blue and make sure we'll get that out of the way. Then we can focus on pronunciation. Is that black? Okay, good. Now, every amputee has a different level of difficulty maintaining the height of their center of mass. Isn't that correct?
Yes.
Some amputees, it's not as difficult. Some amputees, it's more difficult. So wouldn't we say also they experience difficulty
うん
maintaining. Would you agree with this statement? They experience difficulty maintaining the height of their center of mass. Does that make sense to you?
Yes,
Yeah, because when you say cannot maintain, it's almost like yes or no, night or day, on or off. I don't think it's a binary situation. I think each amputee has a difficult level of difficulty
うんう
in
ん
maintaining the height of their center of mass.
Yes.
Okay, great. I think this is a better
う
statement
んうんうん
here. Okay. Okay, I think that's the only change we need to make there. Do you have a question?
No, I don't have
Okay,
question.
great. Yeah, that was pretty. Yeah, just minor changes. I don't know how that works back to the Japanese statement. um, I think Sumiko talks about this. She
うん
says that many of the Japanese students
Yes.
that have problems with their AI translation are
うん
because their Japanese wasn't correct.
うん
But I cannot make that distinction because I'm not a Japanese expert. I'm only an English expert. I also imagine that even a properly worded Japanese text may still have problems
う
in the
ん
translation. So that's up to you to work your way back and examine the corresponding Japanese portion to see if there needs to be changes made there. But that I leave that to you. Okay, no questions for this one.
Yes.
Did you receive it?
Yes, I received it.
Okay,
Thank you
great,
very much.
great. Yes, okay. And that's all improved low transfer of the foot. A little bit of red there, a little bit of yellow highlight. Okay. And I'm going to read a sentence by sentence and just repeat after the sentence. Does that sound good to you? Yusuke?
Yes.
I'm going to read sentence and then you just repeat after the sentence.
Okay.
And we'll start with the title Draft Storyline for Presentation.
Draft storyline for presentation.
The findings of this study are scheduled to be presented at the International Society for Prosthetics and Orthotics ISPO World Congress to be held in Thailand in March of 2027.
The findings of the study are scheduled to be presented at the International Society for Prosthetics and Orthotics ISPO World Congress to be held in Thailand in March of 2027.
Society.
Society,
Society.
society,
Uh,
society,
yeah, it's not society. It's society.
society,
Yeah. Congress.
congress,
Okay. Now we have O, and society.
society,
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 congress,
congress,
orthotics,
orthotics,
orthotics, orthotics.
orthotics,
Okay, that's good. And of
uh,
March of 2027. Of.
March of 2027.
Yeah, very good. So I emphasize but we have to consider
Oh,
Every vowel has a possibility of the schwa, uh, and of is an example. Okay. The entry deadline is September 7, 2026.
the entry deadline is September 7, 2026.
To meet this deadline, we are proceeding with data organization and preparation of presentation materials.
To meet this deadline, we are proceeding with data organization and preparation of presentation materials.
Organization and presentation. Oh, I'm sorry. Organization and preparation.
Organization and preparation.
Organization.
Organization.
Preparation.
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 Presentation.
Presentation.
Materials.
Materials.
That's pretty good. Do you have a question there?
No, I don't have question.
This study analyzed gait in individuals with unilateral transtibial amputation.
This study analyzed gait in individuals with unilateral transtibial amputation.
Analyzed gait in individuals.
Analyzed gait in individuals.
In individuals.
In individuals.
That's pretty good. Transtibial amputees lack an ankle joint, which serves as a major source of I'm sorry. We'll cut it at the comma here. Transtibial amputees lack an ankle joint.
Transtibial amputees lack an ankle joint.
An ankle joint.
An ankle joint.
Which serves as a major source of propulsive force during gait.
Which serves as a major source of propulsive force during gait.
Source of force.
Source of force.
Consequently, these individuals exhibit a marked deficit in push-off force.
Consequently, these individuals exhibit a marked deficit in push-off force.
Consequently.
Consequently.
Consequently. Consequently.
Consequently.
Now, you may hear marked and marked. They're both pronunciations are possible. Marked, marked,
Market. Market.
No, marked. Not
Market.
market, not supermarket, but marked.
Market.
Like with a D, marked.
Market.
And marked.
Marked.
Yes, you will hear both forms of that word pronounced. Okay. Most current prosthetic feet are Most current prosthetic feet are made primarily of carbon or glass fiber.
Most current prosthetic feet are made primarily of carbon or glass fiber.
Primarily.
Primarily. Primarily.
Did you listen to the row, row, row your boat song? I think
Row.
I sent you a link many weeks ago.
Mm.
Row, row, row your
Yes.
boat. Merrily, merrily, merrily,
Mm.
merrily. Merrily,
Merrily.
merrily. One, two, three. Merrily.
Merrily.
Primarily.
Primarily.
Yes. So there are aspects of English that we learn as children. For example,
Mm.
elemental P.
Mm.
Elemental P.
Elemental P.
Yes. LMNOP. The alpha, the alphabet.
Mm-hmm.
So the alphabet song A B C
Yeah.
D. Okay. And then when we get to LMNOP,
Elemental P.
yes. And merrily, 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 merrily.
Merry, 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 merry.
Merrily, one, two, three, one, two, three. It's like a waltz. One, two, three, one, two, three. You know the dance, like the blue. Do you know the blue Danube? Right.
No.
One, two, a waltz is a type of dance. One, two, three, one, two, three,
Mm.
one. Two. Okay. Merrily,
Merrily.
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 Yes. So as children, we learn this, but Japanese students don't spend a lot enough time with this. They kind of skip over that. It's
Mm.
something we learn at a very early age. Merrily,
Merrily. Merrily.
primarily.
Primarily.
That's better. Most current prosthetic feet are I'm sorry. Most current prosthetic feet are made primarily of carbon or glass fiber.
Most current prosthetic feet are made primarily of carbon or glass fiber.
Carbon,
Carbon.
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 These prosthetic feet compensate for push-off force by utilizing the elastic deformation of their constituent materials.
These prosthetic feet compensate for push-off force by utilizing the elastic deformation of their constituent materials.
Prosthetic,
Prosthetic.
compensate,
Compensate.
constituent,
Constituent.
constituent materials.
Constituent materials.
However, the resulting output remains substantially lower than that generated by a healthy ankle joint.
However, the resulting output remains substantially lower than that generated by a healthy ankle joint.
To increase push-off force on the prosthetic side, greater load must be applied to the forefoot of the prosthetic foot in order to produce larger elastic deflection of the material.
To increase push-up force on the prosthetic side, greater load must be applied to the forefoot of the prosthetic foot in order to produce larger elastic deflection of the material.
That's very good. There's a very technical sentence there. High tech questions.
No.
Okay. Oh, yeah, better. That looks much better. Um, I would like to. Can you add a dot, like a blue dot or something, a little circle to cover that up? You could try that.
Yeah.
Put a little dot there. The human lower limb possesses a mechanism called rocker function.
The human lower limb possesses a mechanism called locker function.
A mechanism called rocker function.
A mechanism called locker function.
Ah, ah, called rocker function.
called lack of function.
Called rocker function.
Called lack of function.
Which smoothly advances the body's weight over the foot in the forward direction.
Which smoothly advances the body's weight over the foot in the forward direction.
Advances the body's weight over the foot.
Advances the body's weight over the foot.
Body's weight.
Body's weight.
Foot.
Foot.
Like a rocking chair, this mechanism allows movement to proceed continuously without interruption.
Like a rocking chair, this mechanism allows movement to proceed continuously without interruption.
This mechanism allows movement.
This mechanism allows movement.
Allows.
Allows movement.
Now, we've talked about we should talk a little bit about ow.
Ow.
Allows.
Allows.
How now brown cow. How now brown cow. Allows. House. Mouse. Allows. That's pretty good. This is what we call the twang. Twang. Have we talked about twang? Yeah, twang is it's like a springy quality to the voice. House, mouse, allows. That's pretty good. Thank you. Rocker function consists of three sequentially acting components.
Rocker function consists of three sequentially acting components.
Sequentially. Essentially. Sequentially acting components. The heel rocker, the ankle rocker, and the forefoot rocker.
The heel rocker, the ankle rocker, and the forefoot rocker.
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 The heel rocker.
The heel rocker.
The ankle rocker.
The ankle rocker.
And the forefoot rocker.
And the forefoot rocker.
Rocker. The beginning is and the end is rocker. That's better. Much better. Nice. The heel rocker arises from a rolling motion utilizing the curvature of the calcaneus.
The heel rocker arises from a rolling motion utilizing the curvature of the calcaneus.
Curvature of the calcaneus.
Curvature of the calcaneus.
Good. While the ankle rocker arises from the motion of the ankle joint.
While the ankle rocker arises from motion at the ankle joint.
However, prosthetic feet lack both of these mechanisms.
However, prosthetic feet lack both of these mechanisms.
Do you have a question? Oh, sorry. Based on these findings, we hypothesize that on the prosthetic side.
Based Based on these findings, we hypothesized that on the prosthetic side,
Hypothesized.
hypothesized,
Hypothesized.
hypothesized,
The ability to advance the load anteriorly after heel contact is limited.
the ability to advance the load anteriorly after heel contact is limited,
And that this limitation contributes to insufficient loading of the forefoot.
and that this limitation contributes to insufficient loading of the forefoot.
Contributes to insufficient loading.
Contributes to insufficient loading.
Contributes.
Contributes.
British English contributes. American English contributes.
Oh,
Every time I hear British people pronounce it their way, I get a little upset. Okay. Any questions about that page?
no, I don't have question.
Okay, good work. Our preliminary investigation revealed that able-bodied individuals could shift their load from the heel to the toe over the course of a single gait cycle.
Our preliminary investigation revealed that able-bodied individuals could shift their load from the heel to the toe over the course of a single gait cycle.
Course
Course
preliminary investigation.
preliminary investigation.
Investigation. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Investigation.
Investigation.
Able-bodied.
Able-bodied.
Able-bodied. Able-bodied.
Able-bodied.
Yeah, be careful. It's able. That's an L before the B. Able-bodied.
Able-bodied.
Able-ba.
Able-bodied.
Bobby boobabo. Able-ba. Able-bodied.
Able-bodied.
Able.
Uh,
Able-bodied.
Able-bodied.
It's not able. It's able.
Able.
I don't know. Can you see my face?
No, I can see your face.
No, you can. Yes, you can't. I'm sorry. Yes means yes and no means no. Can you see my face?
No,
Okay.
I can't
So
not.
after we finish, we'll talk a little bit about L, R, M, and N. Okay, we'll talk a little bit about that when we finish here. In contrast, individuals with transtibial amputation shifted their load only to approximately 60% of the heel to toe distance.
In contrast, individuals with transtibial amputation shifted their load only to approximately 60% of the heel to toe distance.
Approximately.
Approximately.
Contrast.
Contrast.
Individuals.
Individuals.
Okay. This finding supports the notion that transtibial amputees exhibit insufficient loading of the forefoot.
This finding supports the notion that transtibial amputees exhibit insufficient loading of the forefoot.
Please eliminate this comma after the and.
Mm.
We will not use commas after and. Okay. Maybe
Okay.
I missed that last time. I'm sorry.
Ah, I see. Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you. And consequently, insufficient forefoot deflection.
And consequently, insufficient forefoot deflection.
Consequently,
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 consequently.
consequently.
Good. Accordingly, the present study aimed to clarify a method by which transtibial amputees can sufficiently shift their load to the forefoot.
Accordingly, the present study aims to clarify a method by which transtibial amputees can sufficiently shift their load to the forefoot.
In this study, we use the forward velocity of the center of pressure of both sides as a quantitative variable to evaluate load transfer.
In this study, we use the forward velocity of the center of pressure of both sides as a quantitative variable to evaluate load transfer.
Quantitative variable.
Quantitative variable.
Quantitative variable. Quantitative variable.
Quantitative variable.
That's better. Forward.
Forward.
The forward velocity.
The forward velocity.
That's good. That's good. Oh, I think we'll shift to. Sorry. You can see my screen.
Yes, I can see.
The figure below shows the forward displacement of the COP during gait in lower limb amputees.
The figure below shows the forward displacement of the COP during gait in lower limb amputees.
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 1, 2, 3. Amputees.
Amputees.
Forward displacement.
Forward displacement.
Unlike non amputees, lower limb amputees cannot shift their COP fully forward to the toe.
Unlike non-amputees, lower limb amputees cannot shift their COP fully forward to the toe.
Non amputees. Non amputees.
Non-amputees,
Lower limb.
lower limb.
There you go. Non lower. Non amputees.
Non-amputees,
Lower limb amputees.
lower limb amputees.
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 Good, good. As a result, they not only fail to generate adequate propulsive force, but also experience difficulty maintaining the height of their center of mass during the latter half of the stance phase.
As a result, they not only fail to generate adequate propulsive force, but also experience difficulty maintaining the height of their center of mass during the latter half of the stance phase.
Not only fail.
Not only fail,
Mm. Experience difficulty maintaining.
experience difficulty
Maintaining.
maintaining.
Okay. In prosthetic users, the phenomenon in prosthetic users, the phenomenon in which the center of mass drops sharply during the latter half of the stance phase is known as drop off.
In prosthesis users, the
Hmm?
phenomenon
Prosthesis users. Oh, okay. Not prosthetic users, prosthesis users. Sorry. In prosthesis users, the phenomenon in which the center of mass drops off sharply during the latter half of the stance phase is known as drop off.
in prosthesis users, the phenomenon in which the center of mass drops sharply during the latter half of the stance phase is known as drop off.
Drop,
Drop,
drop off. Drop off.
drop off.
Drop off contributes to increased loading on the sound limb and to greater left right gait asymmetry.
Drop off contribute to increased loading on the sound limb and to greater left-right gait symmetry.
Gait asymmetry.
Gait asymmetry.
Gait asymmetry.
Gait asymmetry.
Questions?
I have a question
Yes.
about uh, how to use prosthesis or prosthetic.
Yeah. It's like ice cream and iced cream. Okay. In the past, the term was iced cream.
Ice cream.
Yeah, ICED
Mhm,
CREAM, iced cream.
mhm.
But over time, it just became ice cream.
Yes.
So we can use the adjective noun, or we can use two nouns, ice cream.
Mhm,
Yeah. Um, prosthetic is an adjective, prosthesis is the noun.
mhm,
I think prosthetic is easier than prosthesis to
mhm.
pronounce. But
Yes.
usually the direction is what is easier to pronounce.
Mhm,
Yeah. And prosthetic users, it seems an easier pronunciation
mhm,
than prosthesis, right? A little bit hard to pronounce, but
mhm,
there's no real change in meaning. We
mhm,
can we can use nouns as an adjective. For example, ticket, window, drink, machine, ice cream.
mhm,
We can do that. So prosthetic users, but I don't know what is more common in your profession
mhm.
when you're reading through papers in English. Do you see both?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Sometimes both
Yeah.
I see.
So now you may want to talk to Sumiko if that's something you're concerned with. But as from an English standpoint, both are correct. But we would use prosthetic just because it's easier to say.
Mhm. Oh,
All
okay.
right, that's a good question. Other questions?
No, I don't have question.
Okay. Sorry, but then we have to go back, but that's fine. We've cleared the blue there. Hmm. Interesting. Okay. The COP represents the point of application of the ground reaction force on the plantar surface and indicates the location of load.
The COP represents the point of application of the ground reaction force on the plantar surface and indicates the location of load.
Let's talk a little bit about point. So we have OI, we have AI, main, point. This is a diphthong, a, oi. There are two vowels next to each other. Try not to meld them together. There are two sounds. Point, point.
Point.
There you go. That's good. You have to uh, be careful with oi and a.
Mhm.
Point of application.
Point of application.
We evaluated the speed of load transfer by measuring the velocity at which the COP moved forward from the heel to the forefoot during the first half of the stance phase.
We evaluated the speed of load transfer by measuring the velocity at which the COP moved forward from the heel to the forefoot during the first half of the stance phase.
Forward.
Forward.
Forward. Forward.
Forward.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, you take a note of that one. That's a difficult one. It's the R sound.
Mhm.
You have an R sound in front of a W, and so that's going to be a little tricky for you. All right, there we go. Oi and a variable.
Variable.
As a variable to evaluate whether load transfer to the forefoot was sufficient,
As a variable to evaluate whether load transfer to the forefoot was sufficient.
we use the timing of heel off.
We use the timing of heel off.
Heel off.
We heel off.
E-ah. Heel off.
Heel off.
Previous studies have shown that heel off occurs when sufficient load has been transferred to the forefoot.
Previous studies have shown that heel off occurs when sufficient load has been transferred to the forefoot.
Heel off occurs.
Heel off occurs.
Uh, occurs.
A heel off occurs.
E-ah.
Heel heel off
Heel off occurs.
heel off occurs.
Better. Heel off occurs.
Heel off occurs.
That's very good. Occurs.
Occurs.
Okay, good, good. Based on these considerations, we formulated the following research question.
Based on these considerations, we formulated the following research question.
Formulated the following.
Formulated the following.
O, ah, fo, fa. Formulated the following.
Formulated the following.
O, ah, fo, fa. Formulated the following.
Formulated the following.
Formulated the following.
Formulated the following.
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 Okay. Does a faster forward COP velocity faster velocity. I'm sorry, it should be higher velocity, not faster velocity. Sorry.
Oh, okay. Thank
Yeah,
you.
I missed that one. velocities are high or low,
うんうん。
not fast or slow. Speeds are fast and slow, but
うん。
velocities are high or low. Does a
あ
higher forward velocity during the first half of the stance phase correspond to earlier heel off timing?
Does a higher forward COP velocity during the first half of the stance phase correspond to earlier heel-off timing?
Correspond.
Correspond.
A prelim sorry. A preliminary analysis of 11 participants to date has shown this trend.
A preliminary analysis of 11 participants to date have shown this trend.
Has shown this trend.
Has shown this trend.
This finding suggests that increasing the forward velocity of the COP may contribute to improved load transfer to the forefoot.
These findings suggest that increasing the forward velocity of the COP may contribute to improved load transfer to the forefoot.
Questions here?
No, I don't have question.
Okay. As a next step, we are planning an experiment using an off-the-shelf carbon insole.
As a next step, we are planning an experiment using an off-the-shelf carbon insole.
Off the shelf
Off the shelf
carbon insole,
carbon insole.
a device designed to increase the forward velocity of the COP.
A device designed to increase the forward velocity of the COP.
Increase the forward velocity.
Increase the forward velocity.
Forward.
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 Pretty good. This insole has previously been used in patients with post-stroke hemiplegia.
This insole has previously been used in patients with post-stroke hemiplegia.
Insole has previously.
Insole has previously
Post-stroke hemiplegia.
post-stroke hemiplegia.
However, given its mechanism of action, it may produce a similar effect in prosthetic users.
However, given its mechanism of action, it may produce a similar effect in prosthetic users.
Mechanism of action.
Mechanism of action.
To date, we have collected data from approximately 20 individuals with transtibial amputation.
To date, we have collected data from approximately 20 individuals with transtibial amputation.
Approximately.
Approximately.
Given the September conference entry deadline,
Given the September conference entry deadline,
we should be able to analyze data from a maximum of approximately 10 participants.
we should be able to analyze data from a maximum of approximately 10 participants. Participants.
Therefore, this presentation will report preliminary trends based on the small sample size.
Therefore, this presentation will report preliminary trends based on the small sample size.
Report preliminary trends.
Report, report preliminary trends.
Report preliminary trends.
Report preliminary trends.
Questions?
No, I don't have question.
Okay, that's good work, Yusuke. Let's talk a little bit about L,
L,
R.
R,
Can you see my mouth? I'm going to turn up my brightness here. There we go. L,
L,
R,
R,
N,
N,
and M.
M.
Okay. Working backwards. M.
M.
If you can imagine a drum, like a taiko, like a drum. Okay.
Mm.
Bum, bum, bum. If I took a knife and I cut it, it wouldn't make the same sound. I have this the mouth, it's almost like a drum. The cheeks form a resonant like the head of a drum. But if I cut it, it's gone. Right? Well, we move from M to N. We use the tongue to close against the upper teeth completely instead of N M N. Can you see that?
Yes.
M
M.
N.
M.
Now, when people are pronouncing an N word, like ending in N, I'm trying to say, Japanese people will say something like, "This is a pen." And no, you need to smile. This is a pen.
Pen.
If you open the mouth, then the cheeks lose their ability to create sound. Japanese people call me Jom. My name's John. Smile. So if you see the N, just remember to smile. N. 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 LMNOP. N.
N.
Okay. Now that's M and N. Now from N, we can do some interesting things. If we take the tongue and we pull the front down, if we pull it in and we make a little hole in the front, we get the R sound. And it's kind of hard to visualize, but you can imagine the tongue is sealing up against the teeth in N. And we take the tongue and we curve it up and pull it in to make this hole in the front. That's the R sound. Yes, R, the tongue is lifted inside the mouth and the front tips down. The sound is coming out through this new opening we've made. Try to lift your tongue and even touch the roof, but make sure you leave some space out. Now, Japanese people don't get any practice with this because ka, sa, ta, ma, ya, wa does not, there's no Japanese Chinese have it. Their is really strong. I've never heard Chinese people speak. But Japanese people, it's not. They have a ra, ri, ru, re, ro. Like they have a thing like that, daddy do they do, but they don't it's not a vowel, but in English it's a vowel. All right. So we go M N and All right. So now here's the difference between R and L. In R, we get this little opening in the front where the sound is coming out. And in L, we shift. we close the front and we open two holes in the side to make uh.
う、
Uh.
う、
Yeah. RL. RL. They're basically the opposite. R, we raise the tongue in the middle and we open up the front. L, we close the front and we have these two openings on the side. Er.
う、
Uh.
う。
That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Thank you.
These are tongue acrobatics that English speakers are raised with from the time that we're babies, but Japanese people don't get this kind of practice with their tongue. And here's an interesting case. When I was in maybe third grade, how old was I? 9 years old. There were children had this little trick. They play on each other. They'd turn their back and they'd reach in and turn their tongue upside down with their fingers. And then they'd come back to you and they'd flip their tongue around upside down. Right? So I practiced this, and I'm a right-handed person. So I would, when I was in third grade, I would practice. I'd turn my back, I'd turn my tongue upside down, and then I'd turn it around, and people would go, oh. After practicing this, I don't need to reach into my mouth and turn my tongue upside down. I can do it without my fingers. But only this direction. I cannot do it because I never use my left hand. And I've never been able to do this. Maybe if I use my fingers, I could do it. But something that I learned at 9 years old stayed with me my whole life. But like I say, I use my right hand to do it. I never use my left hand to do this. So things that we learn when we're children, as far as the tongue is concerned, this type of muscle memory, is something that lasts a lifetime. And Japanese students are at a serious disadvantage because they start studying English very late in life. Fortunately, the human organism is very flexible. The brain is very plastic. And if you are, as you are involved with prosthetics and orthotics and rehabilitation, you do realize how difficult it is to rehabilitate after stroke, but it is possible. You also probably know that older patients have a more difficult recovery schedule than a younger patient because of brain plasticity. Yeah. Yusuke, how old are you?
I'm 35 years old.
Okay.
Okay.
I have students that began when they were 70. Right. So 35 could be worse. I began studying Japanese around 20, age of 20. I've been living in Japan 32 years. My son is 20 years old. His Japanese is so far beyond my I get so angry. I say, I've been here longer than you. I've been studying Japanese longer than you. And he says, don't get angry. His Japanese is much better than mine, but he started much earlier. So this is life. This is the way it is. The pronunciation of English has so many challenges, but we've got some great tools. And I think we're in a very good pace. I really appreciate you do your homework. You got the red letters. You got the yellow highlights. You're using the Google Translate. And today we discussed very specifically L,
L,
R,
R,
M,
M,
and N.
N.
Try this out when you're pronouncing, and let me know next week, Monday.
Yes.
Do you have any questions?
No, I don't have a
All
question.
right, Yusuke, I'll see you next week, Monday.
Let's see you next Monday.
Okay, take care.
Thank you very much.
Good night.